Welcome to OpenTechTalks.tv. Today we have a guest speaker, Mark Wormgoor. He is the CEO and founder of Tari, and we want to hear from Mark what is all about Tari and how he has done over the years of his experience when he started, what he's doing in the technology space. So let's welcome Mark to the show.
Sure. Thanks, Kashif, and good evening. Nice being here, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Mark. So maybe let's start with this Tari. What is this? If you can explain to the audience who are listening.
Sure. Going back a little bit before Tyree, so long background in technology, and maybe we can talk about that if we have time. I decided a couple of years ago that I was going to leave the big corporate consultancy life behind and start my own company, become an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I started Tari 2 years ago. We do a lot of different things. We do some software development. We have a small team of developers in the Philippines where we do software development. But mostly what I like doing, what I love doing is giving advice. So I do strategy consulting to companies. And the other thing that I really love doing, where my real passion is coaching. I love coaching CTOs, CIOs, leaders in tech.
Okay. And maybe now give us your corporate background.
My corporate background, I've been in IT for 28 years, I think, this year. It's been a while. I started in infrastructure. I've been a hardcore systems engineer, Unix, Windows, Oracle DBA. So really started hardcore infrastructure. From there on, went to do technical architecture. I think we've been there, security projects, identity and access management. 2006, I joined Accenture. So I went from more technical architecture to doing more consultancy, project management, still very hardcore infrastructure, service management, security type projects.
Mm-hmm.
I did that for a while, and then I joined JD, Jacobs Douwe Egberts, so the biggest coffee and tea company in the world, actually, based here in the Netherlands. And I was the head of IT operations and security, which is basically everything from data centers, infrastructure, workplace, service desk to security and compliance. So that was my last job. And in 2020, around COVID time, I decided to leave that all behind and do my own thing, start my own company.
Okay. And how is it going, your own company?
How is it going? It's interesting. I mean, in corporate, life is very challenging at times. You have difficult projects in consultancy, difficult, challenging clients, things that don't always go well, but you always have a paycheck at the end of the month, right? I mean, if you work for Accenture or JDE, the paycheck is the one thing that you're probably sure about. Entrepreneurship is different. I have to build my own business. I have to do my own sales, my own marketing. It's something I have never done before, and it's been a learning journey. And it's been an incredible journey. I mean, I've learned more over the past 4 years than I have in a very long time. Almost starting to become an expert on sales and marketing, which I never knew anything about, and it's going well. So it's been a slow start, but at the moment it's really going well. I'm really enjoying the newness of it. Doing new things, I really enjoyed it, and giving advice, mentoring, coaching. I mean, I have a very long background in IT, and I just love passing that on to a new generation, to other people. So it's fun.
Amazing. Excellent. Okay. Now, maybe as you are doing and providing a consultancy and strategy to a lot of customers, or maybe in individual capacity or an organization, and as from last 2 years, we have been into an era where everything is going into AI, from organizations, technology budgets to the projects to everything in AI. So how you are seeing it while working with your customers, and one is how you're seeing it, and then what are some of the suggestions you are providing to them?
So first of all, I have a background in tech, right? So I'm I think almost everyone else in tech, I love AI. And I love the new developments. I love what it can do. I love tinkering with all the new models that come out. So I'm a big fan of AI. So let me start there. Big fan of technology in general. So if we go from there, what I also see is that a lot of companies say we have to implement AI. We don't know why. And actually, I heard of a company last week that says we're going to implement AI in all of our different business units and our processes, and it's going to be better. Why? Because we have to. And that's where I think a lot of the organizations go wrong. They don't start with, we have a business problem or a business challenge that we should address, and that maybe AI is a solution for that. It actually goes the other way around. And I think that's the pitfall that a lot of people in tech fall into. But I even now see it with boards and with CEOs that all make that same mistake. We have to do AI without understanding why. I have a fun example of a company that I work with. They are trying to deploy Copilot, so they're giving Microsoft Copilot to some of their employees and seeing how that's going to increase their productivity, which, I mean, a lot of other companies are doing as well. And it's not a bad thing, but it's like marginal productivity increase. It'll be like 2, 3, 4, 5% if you give Copilot to a knowledge worker. I think what's interesting, I was in their factories, and in their factories, they have a very small AI solution that nobody knows about, but it's incredible. So what they've done is they put it's a production facility, and they put a small camera right on the production line that just inspects product quality. And just from that camera, and of course, they've done all the image learning, machine learning on all of the images.
Right.
That camera will immediately know, is this product okay, or is there a small defect? And if there's a small defect, it just gets pushed off the line for manual inspection. Nobody knows about it in a company. It's the most incredible solution. They used to have a person doing that. They actually had a lot more product mistakes getting through. Customers called about it. And just from this very small solution that nobody knows about, it's been an incredible change. So I think where you deploy AI and where it actually solves serious business problems versus we just have to do AI because everybody else is and we don't want to get left behind. I think that's the difference between success and trying.
Okay. And I think you rightly pointed out. As I work with a lot of customers, and my experience is also where some of the organizations, they just want to think about that. I want something in AI, irrespective of I'm solving a problem or not. So maybe I think we need to respect them because they have some mandate to not left behind.
Yeah.
So if they're not targeting the problem statement or from business objective point of view, they want to do something in AI. So what are your recommendations to them based on your experience that they should, at least they can follow some framework or a step 1, 2, 3 to go ahead?
So where I like to start, I think this is a really good thing for a CTO or a CIO or someone in that leadership position to do. And I think the first step in this is going to their business counterparts. So if a CIO or a CTO or maybe the level below that, if they go to their counterparts in the business and just go and understand the process. So go to head of sales, talk about the sales process. How does the sales process work? What are the tools that we have? What are the biggest challenges that we have? Is it in keeping our customers? Is it in generating new leads? Is it in the sales process itself? Like where in the sales problem? And you can do the same for marketing. You can do the same for your supply chain. You can do the same for your operations, for your finance process even. Start having that discussion. So start first understanding the business process. I think that's one. The second part is that a lot of those people don't understand AI. I mean, in technology, we know a lot more about AI than probably someone that's in sales or marketing or in HR or in finance. Right. So the second step is really to start that education. What is AI? What can it do? What can't it do? Because, I mean, there's a lot of limitations. It can't do anything. So have that discussion. What is it actually capable of? And from there, I think the third step is to have a discussion. So together with the sales department, have that discussion. We know what your largest problems are. You know what needs to be done to generate more sales, to create more or onboard more customers, or to keep our customers. And this is what AI can do, and bring that together. So brainstorm, like these are the 2, 3, 4, 5 solutions that we could really think of. Prioritize them. And from there, start a small pilot. Don't go full-fledged, we're going to deploy AI and solve everything. Say, this is the business problem. We think we could do this with AI. And if we try this, it might actually work. Start a small pilot. I mean, a pilot with a AI application or an LLM model costs maybe 5 or 10K to implement. It doesn't have to be very expensive. Run that pilot. Decide what it is you want to test. Run a pilot and look at the results. If the results are there, you can go and deploy full scale. And you can do this relatively quickly, right? I mean, a workshop like that can take half a day to a day. A pilot can be done in probably 4 weeks. This isn't the process that has to take months and months. You can you can prove a solution to a problem very quickly. And if it actually works, great. You know what it's probably going to cost. You know what it's probably going to solve. Scale it up from there.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing this feedback on the way forward for them. Now, maybe based on your experience, any common use case you're seeing where they are emerging it, or maybe some serious which some organizations are taking?
I think there's a lot. I think we see a lot coming by. I mean, a lot of course, there's a lot of people that are more like in the content generation that use the LLMs. I mean, I use it myself, not necessarily the right, but I love it personally for brainstorming because I'm not the most creative person, and I love how ChatGPT can just give me 30 ideas that I never thought of.
Right.
What is used in a lot, I think there's a lot of very repetitive processes that are still done by humans. We had automation before this, like RPA, that solved some of those problems. I think what's new with AI is that we can start to apply some sort of intelligence to this process. We've seen Klarna, for example, do that with their customer supports. Customer support agents is one very simple and great use case. I'm currently working with a company called DevRev. I don't know if you've heard them. They're a big startup from the US. Okay. And what they do is they actually have brought together product management, customer support management, and development management, put that all together into one big knowledge database so they can actually go and start to apply AI to that set of processes. So integrating processes, bring them together, automating very simple processes that used to require human. I think that's where we're seeing a lot of traction on top of course, content creation and things like that, where I think a lot of people use it. Last one, I think, is also, I mean, in coding, right? In our developers with our coding inside tech, we do see a lot of the different tools being used, and I think that's going really quickly. How fast developers, I mean, of course, developers are techs themselves, so they love this stuff, but how fast they go with actually onboarding these tools in their day-to-day process, I love it. Amazing as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, maybe from a question on, as generative AI and AI is coming to a lot of organizations, and I think the biggest challenge what we are observing is how to take it up and embrace it in the existing ecosystem of maybe it's a cloud or on-premise, and then integrating it within the ecosystem. Have you seen some pattern emerging, or maybe some inputs to that one? If someone from our listeners, going into that journey.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because what we're seeing is that a lot of these big packaged software suppliers are starting to deliver their own AI tools right now. So of course we have Microsoft with Copilot, but also Salesforce had a big announcement last week. SAP is toying around with Joule. And we're seeing all these big providers come up with their own niche software solutions. I don't think that's actually the way to go. I think those are nice. They're absolutely useful. So don't get me wrong. I think for the longer term, I don't think that's the way to go. I think where you're going to see the real value is in the companies that do two things. First of all, that actually understand and have full access to their data, because I think data is absolutely critical with any model that you apply. I mean, just applying a ChatGPT out of the box is relatively useful. I mean, you can make it useful. An AI LLM becomes a lot more useful if you actually make it learn or make it work on your own set of data. So I think being in control of your data, and I think the companies that already have their own data lakes, that are in control of their data, that have strong data management, I think those are going to be ahead. So I think that's one. A lot of companies are working on that, but how far along they are in the journey, I think really differs per company. So I think that's one. And I do think the other one is that a lot of these models, you can either consume directly. So you can go and deploy these LLMs on your own infrastructure, which is hard and expensive. Not impossible, but I think difficult to do and expensive to run. I mean, you'll need to rent all these expensive machines, and not impossible. So don't get me wrong, but just hard to do. APIs make it a lot easier. But APIs require custom development. So actually, it requires that you do have that custom development. You have some custom applications. You have a team that is skilled in custom application development. So I think control of your data, but also a team that can not only tinker around, but actually is able to build APIs where you can integrate to your Salesforce, to your Microsoft ecosystem, to your data, to your SAP, and bring all that together. I think those are the two things that are going to make, in tech at least, a big difference in the speed at which you can deploy AI.
All right, all right. And how do you see the talent readiness for the generative AI and AI? Is this a concern right now, or are we getting towards that? No, there's no problem.
It's a big concern, and it's a big concern that I have, is that I don't see the large pool of people that really understands LLMs. So, I mean, of course, there's a lot of people that, I mean, you will find prompt engineers everywhere, right? And we've all seen the prompt guys on the or guides on the internet, and everybody knows how to write a prompt. A prompt is not an LLM, and it's not actually working with or customizing an LLM. The number of people that have actually taken an LLM off of Hugging Face and even gone and deployed it themselves somewhere, I think that's already a very small and narrow pool of people that can actually go. And this is a simple step, right? Taking an out of the box LLM right off Hugging Face, deploying it yourself. It's not rocket science. The people that have actually done that, I think, is very small, and I think a lot more people should go and do that. Then the people that have actually gone and changed those models, updated those models, trained those models, I think those are like extremely rare. And I think if you actually have a background in AI, machine learning, know how to customize LLMs, build those and deploy those, I think you're probably set in your career for the next 5 to 10 years, because I think there's a very serious shortage. It's not going to go away. So I think there's a big shortage, and it worries me.
Right. Now, maybe as you are in the corporate life also, so I usually ask this question to everyone, because that's the reason behind is that, okay, it gives some inputs to the beginners, or maybe they want to change their career. So any tips while you are interviewing a new candidates for any role, tech, non-tech, in your previous roles or maybe now, what are some top characteristics you were targeting, and then they can get ready for next their interviews?
I'm probably a bit different from others in doing the way I do the interviews. I mean, first of all, of course, from a CV. Well, let's start with the CVs. I think, please, and this is just my ask to anyone, spend some good and decent time on writing your CV, putting a proper CV together, and just explaining who you are and what you've done. I'm still doing a lot of interviews today, and the amount of CVs that I get where I can't reconstruct somebody's career, what their last jobs have been, and what they actually did at those companies, it's incredible. You'll get a long list of, I know all of these skills, but not where people have actually done them. So first, have a CV that actually explains who you are, what you've done, what you've accomplished, and just ask 2 other people, ask your friends to review it, right? Just please do that. So I think that's the first tip, because I see so many CVs come by that I think I just don't understand what you've done. So that's the first one. The second one, if I see a CV and I see the skills in there, it's not necessarily the most important thing. I mean, of course, if I'm hiring for a senior developer, I care that they've done development work. But for me, yes, of course, that's important. But for me, that's like a passing grade. So either you haven't done that work before, which means there's no way I'm going to invite you, or you've done that work before. Still, we're going to find 10 or 20 people that have done that work before. In an interview, I ask a lot of other questions. So the questions that I care about is, how good is, let's say we talk about the same senior developer, how good are they at inspiring their team? How good are they at actually reviewing code and giving feedback to the junior developers on the team? How good are they in managing the expectations of a CTO or working in a sprint? Social skills. I really care in a developer. I mean, developers don't work in isolation. They work in a team, especially once you grow up and become a senior developer or a team lead or even a CTO at some point. Social skills are everything on top of the technical skills. So absolutely grow the technical skills, but invest in the social skills. I talk about what people have done in the past. If they've had issues with performance in their team, how they dealt with that. I ask people about, and this is a question I love to ask, give me an example of a recent conflict you had on the work floor.
Mhm.
right? Because I really like people talking about how they've had a conflict, not because we all
Mhm.
have conflicts, right? Small or large. And I love asking the question because it tells me first, what was the conflict about, right? Why did you get to conflict?
Mhm.
Because conflicts happen, and
Right.
that's okay. And second, how did you deal with it? So how did you resolve it? How did you resolve it
Mhm.
with the other party, which can be your manager or a peer or a stakeholder or someone in your team, and that's all fine. And you can learn so much from just that question. So those are the types of questions that I like to ask to probe a bit about the social skills. If I'm hiring for a role, I would rather hire somebody that's like in terms of skill, 80% there, has strong social skills and is ambitious. I would
Mhm.
rather hire that person because they're going to go for it. They're going to learn. They're going to like put in the time and effort to be successful in the role. I'd rather hire
Right.
them than somebody that's done it before. That's 110% fit for the role. They've done it before. How motivated are they going to be? So I'd rather take a chance on somebody that's 80, 90% there, for who it's a stretch, than somebody that hasn't done it before. So that's
Right. Right.
my
Right.
hiring strategy.
Great tips. Yeah. Thank you. Now, how you're managing the transition from a corporate life to managing your own now organization and then doing all the work from marketing to sales, reaching out to customer. So how you did manage this transition?
So when I decided to leave JDE,
When, Mhm.
I didn't leave because I wanted to be extremely successful as an entrepreneur. I did it
Mhm.
because I felt actually the job that I had at JDE was the job that I was going to finish my career with. So when I was
Right.
younger, I had this like head of IT operations. When I'm 55 or 60, I'm still not
Mhm.
there. That's a job that I want to do, and I got it much earlier in my career than I expected.
Mhm.
Not really what I was looking for, but it just happened. And so
Mhm.
after I left JDE, I
Mhm.
decided to just this is my career. It's been nice. I'm
Mhm.
going to do the things that I love doing. Um, and that's what
Mhm.
I'm doing today. I love talking to people, which is also why I'm here on
Mhm.
podcasts. It's why I do a
Mhm.
lot of sharing on social media. I
Mhm.
love mentoring, coaching, giving advice to others, and really that is what I love to do. So it's actually been quite easy because I get to do 40 hours a week the stuff that I love doing, and what I'm passionate about. When I started doing sales, I did like a lot of other people. I did like cold outreach. I did LinkedIn cold
Mhm.
outreach. And to be honest, that was a mistake. I hated it because it didn't feel natural. It wasn't me. So I
Mhm.
just share the stuff. I just talk to
Mhm.
people at events. I meet new people. If something comes
Mhm.
out of it, great. But if I can help them, even better. So I spend my week doing what I love doing. And it's because of that, it's actually quite easy and enjoyable.
So, so maybe this is a leading question: who's paying the bill? So someone has to pay, right? So how you're
Oh,
getting those customers?
absolutely. So how I'm getting those customers, I think I speak to a lot of people, and I
Mm.
don't speak to a lot of people. So I think two things: I speak to a lot of people, not because I
Mhm.
want to share or
True.
sell my product, but to get to
Mhm.
know them and to actually see if I can help them.
Mm.
Um,
True.
I do get people reaching out to me sometimes, and they ask me for help, and maybe they're not
Mhm.
yet ready for coaching. I just give
Mhm.
them help. I give them advice. I do free 1 hour
Mhm.
calls. I
Mhm.
do a lot of that
Mhm.
just because I love
True.
to. Um,
Mhm.
this week Thursday, I'm going to do a speech in front of 80 students at a
Right.
university here. They're near graduation,
Mm.
and I can guarantee
Mhm.
there's absolutely zero chance that I will get a sale out of that.
Right.
However,
Right.
I just love doing it, and I'm passionate about it. And who knows in 5 or 10 years what that may lead to, and we'll see that in 5 or 10 years.
True.
So I think
True.
that
True.
that's one thing. The other thing that I do is just share my experience, my lessons, what I've learned over the years on social media, and that actually
Mm.
resonates with people. So I do get people
Okay.
reaching out to me saying, "Mark,
Mhm.
would you be willing to coach me? Mark, can you help me
Mhm.
with this problem? We have
Mm.
this request here. Not quite sure how to deal with it." People reach out to me, so I don't have to sell to people. They actually come to me asking for help, and I like that much better than being the salesy, pushy kind of guy because
Right.
that's not who I am.
Mm. So during 3 4 years last, any point of time thought came in your mind that I should have started earlier?
That's a very good question. Yeah, well, I mean, it was the natural flow, so it felt to me like it was a natural flow. That's
Mm.
one answer. On the other hand, I already had a small company back in the 90s, a small web hosting company. Who would have known if I gone and done that full time? What would have happened? My life would have been very different. Do I regret it?
Mhm.
No. And that's because the lessons that I learned in my corporate
True.
life, in the consulting, in my leadership
Mhm.
functions, they are so incredibly useful. And
Mhm.
that's actually why I don't regret it, because I'm now on my own. It's hard to learn those lessons in a small
True.
company or one person or 5-person company. You need to work with people that are smarter than you, that are better than you,
True.
that are have a lot more experience than you. And if you're a
Mhm.
CEO of your company, you need to find those
Mhm.
in masterminds. And I do join masterminds, but I've had so many
Mhm.
incredible mentors,
Mhm.
examples in the companies that I worked for, and other leaders that I just thought like, wow, that's I can learn so much from them. So
So
that's
true.
my corporate life has been incredible, and I've learned so much there. And then I think that's put me in the spot to actually start my own company. So I love my
Right.
journey. Um,
Right.
it's
Right. Right. True. So maybe before concluding for our today's
Mhm.
discussion, a last question on, or a couple of questions on, back to the AI topic
Yeah,
of
sure.
of as the media and the things are happening, that all the budgets of organizations are moving to more of an AI,
Hmm.
and then the other area, infrastructure or maybe security or another
Yeah.
development is going down, and people start talking about it's a bubble, there's no real impact, and then some folks started mentioning or linking back to blockchain and IoT,
Mhm.
that type of things. In your experience over the last 2 years, what you are observing?
I'm I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I mean, we've had
Okay.
this is like, and I love the examples of blockchain and IoT, and of course before that we
Mhm.
had like the web 2.0, and we had mobile, and we've had
True.
all these little hypes
Mhm.
over the past years,
Mhm.
and things have gone incredibly fast.
Mhm.
And we've had all those hypes. And yes, AI is another one. I mean, if you looked at the hype when mobile started or when blockchain came out, or I mean, we've had very similar hype levels.
Mhm.
So I think it's absolutely overhyped where it is
Mhm.
currently. I think what the
Mhm.
difference is maybe with those other technologies is that we're on an exponential growth curve. So I think
Right.
technology isn't on a linear growth curve, it's on an exponential growth curve.
Mhm.
And the reason that we're
Mhm.
here with AI is because, I mean, AI isn't new. The first papers around
True.
AI were written in the late 40s,
True.
early 50s. Like Alan Turing wrote his first paper on this in 1950, I think it was. So
True.
it's been around for a while. That I think
True.
that's one. And the other one, we have Moore's law. And actually, I looked it up recently. Moore's law about the number of processors on a chip duplicating
Mhm.
every 2 years. It's actually been a 55-year run so far.
Mhm.
And even
Mhm.
25 years ago, people said it's not going to hold, it's not going to continue. The only reason
Mhm.
that AI is possible today is because of that Moore's law, because of that exponential curve that has happened.
Mhm.
So I think we're going to see developments go faster and come faster. I
Mhm.
think AI in its current state is nice, and it's a useful tool. And I think in its current state, it's not going to completely upset and overhaul the industry. I don't believe
Mhm.
that. However,
Mhm.
we're seeing the speed at which new models are coming out. I
Mhm.
mean, we've seen O1 come out from OpenAI just very recently.
Right.
I think it's
Yeah.
already brought us to their stage two of what they call AGI, and they see
Mhm.
agents, their stage
Mhm.
three, not too
Right.
far out. So I think the
True.
speed at which the models are developing, and at which at least OpenAI is developing new models, I think is incredible. And I don't know
Mhm.
what that is going to bring when we get already with O1, and I haven't tinkered enough at it to give a final conclusion on it yet. But especially if we get like independent agents that can do their own research, that can make their own decisions, I think
Mhm.
things are going to move faster and faster. And what that's going to
Yes.
lead to, I think, is everyone's guess, because nobody knows. Is the singularity here in 10 years or 50 years or 200 years? I think it's a good guess for everyone to make.
True.
Nobody knows at this point.
True.
But I
True.
do think
No,
it's going to go fast, and we'll have to see. Yeah.
no, you rightly mentioned about the AI, and these models and algorithms are there from last 40, 50 years. And when I was doing my MS in AI, and I just completed last, I think, April, we haven't got any course on generative AI because it was not there. It's in the master
Yeah.
program.
Hmm.
So, and when I came out from university, then I said, okay, okay, now the generative AI, and then they're asking me this question, which I didn't even study with the most latest program.
Mhm.
So we were doing all those machine learning algorithms, and now we need to talk about this one. So you rightly mentioned that this with the business context, it's moving on that one. So let me we conclude the session today, and then Mark, if you want to leave any final comments for listeners, if someone wants to reach out to you, what medium is the right one to share?
Sure. No, and like I said, what I love doing is coaching people in their career growth, especially on the soft skills, right? So leadership growth in tech, right? Because I focus only on tech because that's my experience, my background. Interested in leadership growth in tech, reach out to me. I think the best website for that is either it's probably the maverickcto.com, and that's my program for coaching CTOs. So please come there, give me a call, reach out.
Thank you so much, Mark, for joining Open Tech Talks to TV.